Law and order is and should be blind. Any one individual, a gang, community, nation or religion as group commits a crime should be questioned by higher authorities, and as human beings we all should have a higher and respected authority to answer. As humanity by now we should be evolved enough to accept and implement equal human rights in all over the world, but it is still a struggle even in our well-established democracies. Regardless of the desires of people, needs of time we live in, or the demands of nature, our groups don't really want to join into international causes. They are threatened their integrity as groups and would lose their importance and relevance, so they don't want to change the way things have been done. Our main culprit is our individual loyalties to our belonging groups, and that can't change until we individually evolve to join humanity as a whole. A crime is a crime regardless of who is committing it, so politics is a poison for our justice systems. Logically, if as groups we question individual and hold them responsible for crimes, it only makes sense to hold groups responsible as well. Why it is not same for nations or religions? Personally, I believe according to equal human rights each individual is equal to a group regardless of its size, especially when it comes to blind justice. Since justice and spirituality go hand in hand, they should be pure of our political influences. Human individual insecurities related sense of belonging is powerful and seem natural enough to make even otherwise honest and spiritual people to close their eyes from the real truth, especially when it comes to politics of belonging groups. If you set the ethical rules for others, you have to follow them first to be an example. Equal human rights are popular and can't be argued against, yet every group is openly prejudiced and discriminatory when it comes to politics of nationalism and religions. Today's facts are calling, and these calls are getting louder in all over the world for equal human rights regardless of where in the world you live, who you are or who you belong to. Old group politics is still around to take humanity into the dark ages, or as our holy books are predicting, the end of planet. If we are to avoid that fate, fight global warming, nuclear war or biological warfare, we need to take charge individually to preach for one humanity. If we don't evolve to our next step and work as one humanity, chances are humanity will stay divided as it has been and treat each other as inferior animals. Spend all resources on fighting each other instead of fighting the real battles against the real issues like infectious diseases, global warming, poverty and health crises. As animals we fought not only to remove ourselves from the food chain of the other creatures we have been and are still fighting each other for our resources to preserve our own kind. From the bush and cave time to modern-day jungle to space, our journey has been constant, yet we just can't rid ourselves of our animal traits regardless of our spiritual nature. Regardless of our spiritual evolution, there are still people who openly believe in dog-eat-dog philosophy. From cave and bush to little communities to megacities to nations and religions, our security systems have been changed drastically. Today we all have to make some adjustments. We have our law and order in our communities, but justice system should be universal like spirituality, nothing but the truth without the political influences. If you start to look at our empires, religions and even in our present-day mega-cities, they clearly show and tell that as individuals we all are the resources from within ourselves. In reality, opposite of our group preaching where we are told individual is meaningless, is true. Regardless of still fighting prejudice and discrimination, in reality most Western nations are not based on one race or religion but a collection of people from all over the world who brought their talent to not only succeed individually but made belonging societies excel as well. Why that has been going on? Answer is clear: individual value and equal human rights lures draws people from oppressive societies. Individual imagination has been, is and will always be in the foundation of human progress, but unfortunately it would be occurs as well at the same time. Since all human beings are social creatures, they are drawn towards each other regardless because they value same basics, things like oxygen, water, food, shelter, health, love, freedom and security. Our necessities of human nature compel us all to live with our own kind with trust and faith. Otherwise we can have security-related groups who fall and grow apart as people, so building trust in our governing systems is crucial. Our biggest battle is to learn about us being same kind regardless of our differences. If you look at real security critically, most crimes are actually done against us, are from our own kind. That is why each community has its social crime rate. If you are not safe in your home, you simply are not home no matter where you live. Our individual mortality teaches us all the above, yet somehow we ignore the messages from beyond. A dying human does not need resources, instead they need love and care. They can and do leave their not needed assets to coming generation. This raises a question that if that coming generation has moved on to something else, start to value something other than commonly valued by previous generations, or is not there anymore, not only that individual dies, community dies with that individual as well. Unfortunately, our politics of sense of belonging overrides our logical thinking of mortality. If more people die than are born in community, and community is not thinking about looming future problems. If people don't work to pay taxes for communal support, problems don't just go away, they're created. Running a business is not like running a country, so passionate people can cause more damage to community than they can help, so politics is not the only thing what runs a successful nation. A major component of a happy and successful nation is spirituality-based principles, and yes, you don't have to have a religion-based governing system to have spiritual values. Politically, people talk against spiritual values as socialism to scare people, yet if you look at the happiness scale of the nations, dog-eat-dog nations are not placed higher. Socialism is bad when it goes against equal human rights. If an individual is treated equally as corporations, nation or religions, it is spiritually correct, so happiness and contentment of the individual will rise to raise communal values as well. From equal human rights to welfare system, from education to universal healthcare, as rights are the hallmarks of spirituality-based principles, yet politically they're connected to the socialism. Interestingly enough, they help community to thrive and place higher in the happiness scale of nations. If other creatures can be trained and tamed with love, that means human beings themselves have been tamed by love. If you raise a child without love, you would not only have individual but communal problems as well, so blame is not only on the child and their parents but should be shared by the community as well. You can see it in the crime rate of the nations. A caring community would and should have lower crime rates in the long run, yet where dog-eat-dog is popular, their jails are full. Love triangle puts things in perspectives because love puts who into man. Since human is surrounded with love from all angles to keep everything in spiritual balance, if stripped off even one side of love, there would be a potential for human being to act like a raging beast against even their own kind. Not really a desired state of being, especially by the human beings, because as a spiritual entity we are smart, way too smart to be treated like an animal. A cunning and smart animal would be more dangerous than predictable hungry creature, so if our love is robbed, we can kill and get killed without any guilty feelings. That is why children should be raised with love, so their inner being is surrounded with love, because a human being means a being surrounded with a who of love. When for whatever reason, whether it's a loss of instinctive love, or erosion of the passionate love, or even if the hurt comes from universal love loss, it can have the potential to bring an otherwise loving human being to dangerously smart animal. Especially if love loss happens in tender age, it can have the potential to turn us all into a mama bear. Interestingly, human beings are the most dangerous creatures because of our smarts and literal weaponry. Since we are social creatures, we live in societies, we need healthy and balanced people to create healthy societies. Without love, the first thing lost is our trust. Without trust, there is no relationship or sacrifice for anyone else. That means no compassion either. As human beings, our health of all kind, whether it is physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, depends on our established trust. If we lack that, we individually and collectively can suffer. A dog-eat-dog education preaches self-preservation exclusively. That was good in our bush and cave time, but in today's societies it can be called as an animal trait of human being. It potentially teaches us to discriminate against each other, whether it is because of color, gender, nation, or religion, and even reverse racism. It is a serious flaw in our education systems of communities. From parents to community to nations and religions, they all can talk about compassion-related good things and the problems faced by the humanity, blaming everything else but their flawed education of prejudice and discrimination. No one is willing to look at and question their own education systems influenced by the politics of sense of belonging to groups exclusively. If a religion preaches certain way of living but only for the people who follow them, it is downright prejudiced and discriminatory against others or even its own belonging people who don't follow the rules of that particular group. When they get into disputes, they are not only willing but actually are stripping each other of love, what makes a beast into human beings, so they bring animal out of even reasonably evolved human beings. Acting on behalf of their belonging groups to rob others of love have been a common practice in all human groups, and it may have the roots into their own love loss as well. To me, being robbed of love may be the foundational cause of and is connected to humanity's everyday perpetual conflicts. People who want to use God for their political agendas make mistake of turning otherwise peaceful and loving human beings into raging animals. They may think it is following their religious orders, but they are not following their compassion also preached by all religions, so individually they actually are denying themselves their religious spirituality. Following a religion can be spiritual, but you have to know what is politics and what is spiritual, so you need to become a CEO. Logical question comes to mind: why would God want to go back to spiritual form exclusively? It just does not make any sense for God to go back to just an irrelevant beauty in the forest. God being physical and fulfilling ordinary human beings' prayers depend on the existence of living, breathing human beings, so logically God can't be hell-bent to destroy human beings. It is human individuals' free will-related freedom. What is making us kill each other? We all individually do have a choice when we go to wars. Since we are blessed with free will and we know how to use it, so we individually do know it comes with a package deal. We can either benefit from it or harm others and in the process ourselves. We just need to know why do we do it. You can only find out by becoming a CEO of your life. To understand this, we need to go further yet on our evolutionary scale, because we are still stuck into our group politics of belonging and we just can't seem to come to terms to work as one humanity. To know why do we even have an evolutionary nature yet with unlimited and flexible potential? All answers of our questions would still be questionable regardless of their authenticity because of our evolving knowledge. It's time for us to individually understand our importance in the larger scale and take a leap of faith in emerging future humanity is facing. We need to go there without getting stressed and being fearful of our unknowns. We need to go boldly into our future and explore where religion, nationalism, racism, gender or sexual bias will lose their importance and God, individual and spirituality gains their importance. After all, the intention of God for human beings was to create, as Rumi says, an ocean in a drop, not a drop in the ocean. Since politics of our sense of belonging to our groups robs individuals of their importance, it is definitely not from God. If it is not from God, where is it coming from? You guessed it, it is from those who use God and people for their political agendas, and yes, they are other and ordinary human beings. Since we are all designed with the atom of autonomy, we have free will, compassionate nature, personal sense of justice, and we have the potential to feel guilt, so the real fear we should have is not from God from outside but from the one sitting right within us. If you believe and fear God outside of you, you would still commit spiritual crimes because you don't always believe 100% in God. God inside, on the other hand, is real and always there, cause eternal heaven or hell for you even while you are in your living years. Ask a damaged war veteran. We individually are not only able to rob ourselves of happiness and contentment as punishments to ourselves, we have the ability to kill ourselves as well, so understanding personal makeup is not only important but is in order for the individual. Being a spiritual being with a physical body in a dog-eat-dog world can be quite a test for us. In the end of the day, free will puts a whole lot of responsibilities on our shoulders. Navigating through a sense of belonging dominating world can make even an otherwise strong individual into a sheep who can be herded by the political dogs. We need to be able to judge not only others but ourselves as well, so this God-like ability makes us the biggest critic of our personal wrong actions before they are committed. Every societies have criminal justice system according to their constitutions, but rapidly changing and evolving societies can't keep up with the demands of times, especially if the conservative people keep putting hurdles in the way of evolution. If they lag behind or work against their social demands, their justice systems can be proven prejudicial, discriminatory, and even unjust. Traditional and customary bias and prejudice are a daily norm in even modern-day societies. If you look at it through magnifying glasses of self-critique, you can find plenty in your own backyard. Our trouble is that self-critique is not common in the people whom are infected with the politics of sense of belonging to their groups. Belonging groups just can't go wrong for the passionate belonging individuals, so there are a whole lot of people stay quiet even if their belonging groups do wrong or commit original sins. On the other hand, if you try to raise voice, you could be hated, threatened, treated harshly by the belonging groups. From treason and shunning to even death can be the results. This social injustice is not talked about in the extreme noise of group politics. From nationalism to religious, extreme cultural opinions are not voiced but shouted at us, so logically speaking, individuals' voice is muffled regardless of being right. To me, if following religious traditions, rules, rituals, or prayers even remotely make you feel that you are better than those who don't follow or are from opposing groups, it has the potential to make you prejudiced and discriminatory. I call this an original sin, where not only you are straying from spirituality, you are heading in the zone where you think you are doing good but being prejudiced as judging others as inferior to you. That means you can follow the path what has been and is proven wrong in the present day's trends like equal human rights.